Hello everyone, welcome to a full face of disappointing products. I'm going to go through all of the different products that I don't like for one reason or another. Very small disclaimer before we start. This is obviously just my opinion. These are products that I've tried and I don't like. If you like them, this is not an attack on you. So please just remember that. If you do have any tips or tricks and want to share them, or maybe what your skin type and preferences are like, that could be very helpful for people as well. I am in no way trying to bash anything except for maybe the eyeshadow palette, but we'll talk about that in a second. So I'll just go through the products the normal way that I would apply them to my face. So generally on a typical makeup day, the first thing I would do is use a face primer. So not all these products might be meant to go together, and the reason why I dislike them is not necessarily because they don't work together. Obviously I don't like any of these things, but when I've used them before with things that I do like and things that they should work with, they don't work well for me. So the first thing I have here is from Physicians Formula. This is the Spotlight Illuminating Primer. This is supposed to be one of those luminous face primers. I don't like it because it has a lot of glitter in it, and I feel like it just makes my skin look bad. Like, it emphasizes pores. I could obviously just use it on certain spots of my face, but I hate using multiple face primers. I like just using one, and I like an illuminating primer that's not going to be too sparkly and that is going to make my skin look good. My psoriasis is really bothering me today, and just putting that primer on it really makes it not feel so great. So this also has a slight tint to it. Now like my hand's all shimmery, not that I mind that. I saw this mug today and it had a unicorn on it and it says "I poop glitter." I wanted it so badly. It wouldn't have necessarily been the most work appropriate mug, but I definitely would have taken it to work. So next I would usually go in with an eyeshadow primer, because where I have shaved off the tail ends of my brows, the first thing I normally do on a normal day is do my brows. And I like to have my face primer on first because I go in with concealer. So in lieu of a dedicated eyeshadow primer, I'm going to use a paint pot from MAC. This particular one is Taylor Gray. I used to use the paint pots a lot because that's what everybody recommended. Everybody was always going on about the paint pots, how they were so good for making your eyeshadow stay on so long, but man, they always creased like crazy on me. I generally dislike using products as a base unless I already have an eyeshadow primer underneath, because I just find things just go all over the place. But that's why I don't like these paint pots just on their own. I think it's fun to have different colorful things underneath and just different tones to bring out different textures of eyeshadows, but the paint pots just always disappointed me. I feel like I'm going to say disappointed so many times. So next would be brows. And normally I use like dip brow, something that's going to grip on to my skin as well as my brows. Now I'm pretty brow challenged. Don't take brow advice from me. One of the disappointing products I have, and I actually have a couple of disappointing brow things. So I have these Pop Beauty Peak Performance brow pencils. These are sort of like the Anastasia definers, but I find that the tips are so thick that I get why they would have that wedge sort of shape for drawing on the brow hair, but I find that it's so thick that it always just looks wrong for my kind of brows, the way that my brows are. Other disappointing brow things for me is the Pop Beauty Brow Duet. This is a brow powder and a brow gel or brow wax. I like a brow wax usually. I don't like that these particular ones are tinted. I just find that they don't work well. And then also the Glossier Boy Brow. I feel like if I had the natural full brows and I didn't need to do much of anything to my brows, this would be amazing. But my brows, when they are au naturel, just look messy and bad. And I always envy the full thick browed people, but it's not my fortune. So I'm going to lightly pencil in with the brow pencil and try and do something. I know it's not going to work out that well in my favor, but that's why I don't like these particular products. They just I have a hard time getting it to look kind of natural, especially around the tails of my brows. Now, there's some things that concealer can fix, but I just find that I have a really challenging time with products like this. I will use the Boy Brow and the brow powder once I have foundation on. That way, in case I get a little bit of foundation on my brows, I can use those products to help a little bit. This is just sort of the outline, which helps when I'm cleaning it up with concealer. So for concealer, I'm going to use another product from Glossier. This is the Stretch Concealer. I have the shade Light, and this is much too yellow for me. The shade range they have is really disappointing. So, I mean, part of the reason why I don't like it is because it's not the right shade for me. It's hard to get an idea of whether or not this is something that I would like if it was a perfect color match for me. But, you know, the shade range itself is disappointing. I took a gamble because they only had the 3 shades available and I wanted to try the product because I needed a new concealer. But I used it a few times and I just wasn't motivated to use it more than that. It's also a very emollient concealer, and I feel like it moves around a lot and it's just so light it doesn't really cover anything anyway. I definitely feel like it fits in with the whole Glossier vibe of you already have really good skin, but you have that one tiny little mark you want to cover, use this. And it's so light and it's just not ideal for me with the things that I would want to use a concealer for. So next, before I get into the rest of face stuff, I want to do eyes. And okay, this is one of my biggest regrets of the last couple of years. It's the Back Talk palette from Urban Decay. This thing is horrible. The only reason why I haven't decluttered it is because I actually do like the blush highlighter side. I use all of these as blushes. The eyeshadows are horrendous. Every single time I have used this palette, I have taken my makeup off. Every single time. I no longer try to experiment with it anymore because nothing ever turns out the way that I want it to. It's all bad. It's just all bad. So I'm gonna take the shade Back Talk first. And now, like, I normally love Urban Decay matte eyeshadows. I normally love Urban Decay shadows in general, but I get so much kick up with these shadows and I feel like I get no pigmentation or anything on my brush. Like, I will try to blend stuff in and I just have like dust everywhere, dust in the wind. I'm just gonna do a very simple eye look. I know I'm gonna get frustrated if I try to do anything more complicated. I was gonna do like a cut crease, which I have attempted to do about 3 times with this palette before. Like, I like a good half cut crease with a dark inner corner and a shimmery lid and a little bit of glitter, and I just can't get it with this palette. I just can't. So I have been endlessly frustrated by this palette. Everything about it just, I hate. I just really thoroughly hate this palette, and I don't normally hate a lot of products. Normally I can at least get something good out of them. There's always like that little thing that's good. Even if it's just one shadow that's good, it can make you feel like, okay, at least there's, you know, there's that one thing. There's not one shadow that I like in this palette. So I'm going to take 180 just to put it all over my lid. I'm just going to do sort of a pinky brown smoky eye. And I have some glitter too that disappoints me, which I know is shocking. I hate this palette. I hate the way that it does everything. I just thoroughly hate it. It makes me so mad. And now I'm just blending the shadow up everywhere. This is just kind of what happens to me with this palette, is that nothing works out the way that I want it to. I'm definitely going for a more editorial look. I have one of the Stila Magnificent Metals glitters, which I really despise because I just find that this goes everywhere. So many people say that they love this stuff, and for me, it's just a glittery mess. We'll see what happens here. So I have a really light green color correcting stick from Au Naturel, and this is just so light. I always need a green contour or something, but this is just too pastel in order for me to really get good color correcting from it. Now I don't have a pink under eye circle color corrector, so I know I will really be able to see my dark circles here, but I'm going to use a foundation from Marc Jacobs. This is the Remarkable Full Coverage Foundation, and I'm going to use it in small doses because I know what this thing is capable of. But when I've used this before, I liked it when I was using it in really, really small doses. And when I started to use more of it, and when I started to wear it really long term, I noticed just how bad it made my skin look. My skin would look very good for a very short period of time, and then it would just fade away awkwardly. It would crack a little bit. It looked especially bad around my nose area. I know it's gonna look pretty pale today because I actually have gotten a little bit of sun, and this is a shade that I would normally wear at a different time. I don't have a whole lot of this product left, actually. I have used quite a bit of it, which is surprising, but I also used it mixed with things, and it worked a little bit better that way, mixed with other things, to bring in a little bit more fuller coverage, because I definitely find that it's very, very full coverage, and especially when I was dealing with a lot of redness, it was something that worked really well for that. But I can just see how it doesn't blend out well in certain spots, and it almost seems to cling to certain patches of my skin, and it just doesn't want to blend out smoothly and evenly. So I have a little concealer from L'Oreal. This is the True Match pen. This is the shade Rose Porcelain. I thought this was going to be a really nice brightening under eye concealer, and I guess it's a little bit peachy, but I found like it just darkened the spots underneath my eyes as opposed to brighten them, liven them up. I don't know, I don't really like the L'Oreal products in general. I just find that they don't sit that well on my skin, and that concealer is no exception. Isn't this just the most flattering assortment of shades? So continuing with the eyes, I have this Charlotte Tilbury eye pencil. This is the classic eye powder pencil. For Charlotte Tilbury, I get that it's supposed to be sort of light, not very dramatic, but I feel like I have to really tug in order to get any payoff color-wise, and I definitely do not want to put it in my waterline because it's just not a soft pencil. It definitely tugs. Pigmentation just isn't there. I super hate this. For mascara, I have the Too Faced Better Than Sex waterproof mascara. I feel like my lashes have to be completely clean in order to get this to go on without clumping, and I feel like I never get all of the mascara residue, all of the lash glue completely off of my lashes, so then my lashes just sort of ball up together. Not a good look. I've been using the Elle contour palette as a mirror. This is another thing that just doesn't seem to blend well on my skin. It's not the right undertones for me. I bought it last year when I was doing a full face of Elle, and it just doesn't quite work. I feel like I look completely dead right now. I have a MAC Gimme Sun bronzer, which I bought because a YouTuber recommended it and said that it would work for all skin types, and she was very wrong. It's way too orange. I bought it because I trusted her recommendation. I thought she looked amazing with it, but for my particular skin, it just does not look right at all. So let's do highlighter before blush. This might shock some people. The Becca Rose Quartz highlighter. This was something I wanted so badly when it was limited edition. Didn't get it. They brought it back. I bought it, and I don't know why I wanted it so bad. Like, it's just such a lackluster highlight. There's just it doesn't do much. I thought it was going to be like this bright, luminous glow when I had swatched it in store, and I think I just built it up so much in my head that I thought it was going to be this amazing thing. For blush, I have this little guy from NARS. This is Ghoulie. This was given away as one of those requalifying for Rouge gifts. Yes, spend $1,000 at Sephora, get a tiny baby blush. I don't know, the NARS formula for blushes in general just doesn't impress me much. Like, I keep expecting more. So many people rave about it, like it's the most amazing blush on the planet, and I'm just like, okay. Now, I look completely goofy right now, I'm sure, because I just went nuts, but I'm trying to bring some color to my face because the combination of the foundation and then like the super dark eyeshadow, like I could put on a big pair of lashes and, you know, put on one of my big glamorous wigs and I'm sure it would look amazing. Now for lips, Dose of Colors Stone. Just, I know a lot of people like the Dose of Colors liquid lipstick. I find it a little bit too drying. It's just not special. I'm gonna use the highlight shade from the Elle palette in my inner corners and a little bit up around my brow bone. So here you can see the finished look. I struggled with all of the products. I'm gonna put some false eyelashes on and a wig, and I will really just show you how you can fake it, how it can look good when it really doesn't feel that good. Like, I can feel all the products on my face right now and it feels so uncomfortable. Even though I've done looks like this before, I just don't like the way that everything feels on my face. So a little bit of lashes and some hair, and we'll be right back. So here is the look with some fake lashes and some fake hair. It just sort of makes everything look a little bit more put together and intentional, and you might never know that these are all products that I hate wearing on my face. These are all makeup things that I will probably be decluttering at some point, with a few exceptions of things that I will pan and things that I'll hang on to for doing different, like more experimental type of makeup looks. But in general, these are all just disappointing products, things that I just never reach for, or things that when I do reach for, they disappoint me because they don't perform the way that I want them to. So nothing really super scandalous, but I thought that I would share this with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this, maybe learned something. I would love to hear from you. What products do you despise? Or do you love any of these things that I use that I don't like? And if you love them, why do you love them? I would really love to know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.